David Wilson. My family emigrated to Australia in 1980 from the north of England, so a bit of an introduction as a 13-year-old with a broad Lancastrian accent coming to Australia. Developed a very, very thick skin very, very quickly. I'm married to Kerry, my wife of 32 years, have 2 children. Very lucky to have those 2 children as a result of the acromegaly situation. The thing is that Isabella's 25 and Hamish is 23. Recreationally, the thing is I still play football. I have coached significantly around the traps over the years and referee as well up to a fairly decent level still now. I've been going to see doctors for quite some years in relation to particularly headaches on the left side of my head, to the point where it kind of felt like I could bang my head against a brick wall just to get some kind of relief from it. The strength of those kind of headaches came and went, but the thing is that I tried to manage it as best I could. I went to see numerous specialists, just wasn't picked up. Thankfully, one evening, I was about 27, 28, went into a late night medical centre with a chest infection after rugby practice, all muddy and so on. Just wanted some antibiotics so I could play on the weekend. The doctor wasn't interested in my chest. He said, "Have you had to have your wedding ring increased in size?" And I said, "Yes, I have." He said, "Do you perspire a lot?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Have you had to get bigger shoes?" And all these other items. Do you have pains in your knees or your joints generally? Have you had issues with your teeth and so on? I said, "Yes." "Listen," he said, "the thing is that I'd just like to do a blood test." A simple blood test came back and it showed that my growth hormone levels were off the scale. Went to see a specialist at Westmead, endocrinologist. Very, very quickly, he had me booked in for radiotherapy. As it turned out, my mum was working for a GP. My wife, Kerry, was working at the University of New South Wales. My sister, who's a physiotherapist, was doing some postgraduate studies. The thing is that, and anyway, they all came back with one name and they said, "Please, can you go and get a second opinion?" Because at that stage, myself and Kerry didn't have any children, and it was going to be kind of quite life-changing. Anyway, popped into St Vincent's, saw another specialist, and the advice from that specialist was, "Listen, we'll put you on this medication. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then we'll look at our other options." Did that, and I reacted really well to it. The time when most people are giving up playing rugby union, I went back to play rugby union. The thing is that my growth hormone level stabilised and it became a once per month needle.
David's very self-reliant and self-efficient. He's efficient. He went off and got himself looked at, got himself really diagnosed. And it was when he was diagnosed and they were looking at actually giving him radiotherapy that he was brought me in on what was going on. And I met the doctor and I had basic questions. He wouldn't answer me. He wouldn't even really acknowledge that I was there and that I had any concerns. The doctors we originally were seeing, they were going down the radiotherapy, which is going to have impacts on having a family. It was going to have an impact on David because it was near his carotid artery, likely going to end in a stroke. He was only 28 years old. It was just not a nice scenario. This second part was to go down the route of using the medication. And the endocrinologist, when I first met him, he just said to me, "Kerry, does this alleviate your concerns?" And I said, "Yes." And I thought, "Yes, I can trust you." We then, fell pregnant and had children. I think the first line of attack, if we left it, potentially we'd never have had a family, but that was life. I thought, well, that's our life, but we've actually been able to have children and that as a result.
One of the best things that I can suggest is that if you're not happy with the diagnosis, please go and get a second opinion. I've said that to so many people over the years. The thing is that go and get a second opinion. If it's something that's that serious and life-changing, because I wasn't going to go and get a second opinion. I think I was just fairly ambivalent and quite lazy about the whole thing, and if it wasn't for the 3 great women in my life, being Mum, my sister and my wife Kerry, the thing is that life could have been very, very different.
Don't take the first opinion, always question. Even if you don't understand, ask the question. So it becomes difficult if it's just 2 of you and you're going through this together. Luckily, David had an outlet, which was sport at the time. Since then, it's dogs. If we got a dog 10 years earlier, it probably would have been great if I think about it now. Have something it just takes the pressure off you because there's a lot of pressure. I had to do the injections. We would fight before every injection, honestly. And so as the partner, you just got to believe that you're doing the right thing and just realise that sometimes I don't think they're in control. they're feeling frustrated or whatever it is, and it's just sometimes it is the medical condition that is coming through. So don't just take it with a grain of salt half the time. We would do the injection. David was going to St Vincent's at the beginning, and I think it was just a big trial to get over to St Vincent's to get the injection. But it did allow us to schedule it in as to when we could do it, so we would do it at night. So it fitted in with our lifestyle. David could still go off and do his training and playing and things. So we could do it at that time of night when we felt more relaxed to do it. You had control over it. It did allow us to travel. It did allow us to go in different places. You weren't tied to here going to the hospital or going to see a doctor to do it. After a period of time, you just become quite used to doing it. So it just becomes a process that you've got control of.
It was great in terms of just being able to have that, that Kerry was willing to do it. And I can imagine that there'd be other partners, spouses and so on would feel less confident. Yeah, the Australian Pituitary Foundation were brilliant. Hats off to the APF. The thing is that they've done a brilliant job with very, very limited resources.